We have just closed the 32nd Congress of the People's Progressive Party, and I wish to thank everyone who made this such a resounding success. Our Congress had energy, it had content, it had diversity, it dealt with weighty issues, and there was throughout it all a spirit of camaraderie and unity and a commitment to build on that spirit to take the party into elections next year and to win those elections. Our party has grown enormously from the period in opposition to this Congress. We have had more than twice the number of delegates of past elections and a large number of volunteers. And I wish to thank all publicly, thank all of those delegates and observers who voluntarily submitted themselves. They weren't forced to come to the Congress. They were nominated by their party groups through a competitive process. We had more people who wanted to come, but there are limitations as to how many can come based on your numerical strength at the party level. And they were eager to come to the Congress. So we didn't have a situation where we had to corral people and force them to attend, and then, or as some would like to believe, because they practice the same thing. They fill up the seats with people who are not affiliated with the party and are there for every other purpose except the growth of the party. In this case, we had committed members attending the conference. Historically, I've gone to congresses, and often after the vote, like on the first day, which took place yesterday for members of the Central Committee, on the second day, people will go back home, many of them, because they believe they fulfilled their mandate. Today, we had a packed hall. The delegates did not budge an inch. They were waited for the discussions. Particularly, there were many resolutions that we passed today. And you know what those resolutions are. They're substantial resolutions. There's a resolution to, first of all, allow the Central Committee to create a body, to elect a group of people to review the party's constitution, which was adopted in 1979 and amended some 20 years ago, to update it and then to present this at county conferences a year from now and have it adopted. So there will be a new party program 1 year from now that would lay out the tasks before us for the next maybe 10 years, and it will incorporate some elements of our history. It will incorporate some of the elements of my report to the Congress, the General Secretary's report, or the Central Committee's report to the Congress, and then it will also allow the recommendations coming out of the 7 workshops that we had, which were on party organization, politics and parliament, local government, the international situation, youth and gender, economic and social situation, and PR and social media. These were workshops well attended, full participation for several hours. This morning the reports were presented, the findings there, the recommendations. The Congress allowed the party to incorporate all of these into the new program and to present those at county conferences and pass those. That will be a major update of our party's program because, as I said before, it was 1979 that the program was adopted first. Now, when you examine the current program, a lot of the tasks we set ourselves in the past have been completed and overachieved. That hence the need for a new program that reflects current day reality. So that resolution went was adopted by the Congress. Their resolution on a party structure, amending the Constitution to expand the party structure. The old Constitution of the party only did not have party regions in 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Historically, we did not have a large presence in these communities. And therefore, the party constitution did not create party regions for these areas. And once you have a party region, you have a particular structure, a regional committee, which is then made up of district committees, etc. So we now, reflecting our numerical strength in these regions, more than maybe about half of our delegates came from these 5 regions that I mentioned. They're there, from 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it was an update of the Constitution to allow to create party organizational structures in these regions to do party work and to ensure that we give them the more tools and hold people more accountable, but also build on local management in these regions rather than having centralized management of their work. There was another resolution that was passed about membership dues. Normally these are paid monthly. We moved it to annually. The use of social media, resolution that our members would use social media to propagate the achievements of our party, our history, our struggles, our achievements. And why is this necessary? Every day we face a rewrite of our history. And often in that rewrite through the Kaicho News and other organizations, some newspapers, some social media commentators, we don't come out looking good in that history. We come out as the villains, although we led the fight for freedom and democracy and progress in that era. And therefore, we are going to train our members to make sure that that social media presence was not to distort our history or to criticize other people or run them down or engage in nastiness as what is directed at us, but also to ensure that the party could propagate its achievements, but also robustly fight off the critics. We had a resolution on preparing ourselves to uphold and not just legislative-wise to push the government from the party, to push the government to ensure that they do whatever it takes to have free, fair, and accountable elections in Guyana. So if that includes having more international observers, strengthening the laws of the country, etc., because we want free and fair elections to be an everlasting condition of how we choose our governments, not through rigged processes. And the party pushed the government and passed a resolution to ensure that they treat this matter seriously. There was another resolution on us broadening our regional committees to have representation from groups that don't get into these bodies through the elections at the region by co-opting them so that you'd have broader representation at the regional level. We passed a resolution on Gaza, and we called for a ceasefire and for a withdrawal of Israeli troops from Palestine, and also a two-state solution. The party has done this in a resolution, passed a resolution to that effect. We also we have a resolution supporting our historical stance on the Venezuela issue, pointing out that the matter was definitively, our border with Venezuela was definitively defined in the 1899 ruling of the tribunal, and then demarcated on the ground, and all parties accepted that as the final full permanent boundaries between our two countries. We decried Venezuela's attempt to reverse that, and through obfuscation and aggressive action, and we recommitted ourselves to the ICJ process as the only pathway to a final resolution of this matter. The controversy between the two countries arising from their claim that the 1899 award was flawed. We also committed our full support to the government, and we said to the government that they must defend our country by any means whatsoever, by diplomatic or any other means whatsoever, that they have that mandate from the party. And we also pointed out, we recognize that we wanted to promote good neighborly relationship with Venezuela, but we're uncompromising on the question of this border and the threats to our territorial integrity and sovereignty. We also commended those who stand with us, the international community, on this very existential matter. These were some of the resolutions we passed. And then there was a fundamental resolution that has been written about in the media. I see even today Ralph Rancoran spoke about this, and a number of other people have been speaking about this. And this is the question of removal of socialism and Marxism-Leninism from our Constitution. And I must say that today that we had the near unanimous support, when the question was put to amend the resolution to remove Marxism-Leninism from our Constitution and to remove socialism from our Constitution. That proposal or a list of amendments to the Constitution got unanimous support. And Nandalal put the question to the floor, and he asked, those in favor, say aye. Everyone said aye. Those against, not a single person was opposed to it. And we had a full house there. So this is a unanimous decision of our Congress. But that does not mean that we give up on our history or our working class ideology. And so what is part of our Constitution already, this part of our Constitution we made as the end goal. And this is the part which says, here, the party's strategic objective is to create a fair and equitable society. This objective will find expression in the establishment of a national democratic state, which is already in our Constitution, that will embrace political and ideological pluralism. So what this means is that you can be anybody. You can be a person who believes in socialism, a third way. You can believe in capitalism, but you have a place in the party. You can be a business community, you can be a worker, a farmer, a fisherman, a bauxite worker, you could be an intellectual. You will find place and a home in the PPP. We believe in political democracy, political and ideological pluralism, political democracy. Nationally, and our track record bears us out on this, and internally. And I see a lot of talk about democratic centralism and whether it will be mean that it's a vestige of the past and there's no democracy under democratic centralism. We just had a one man, one vote, or one man, 35 votes basically, for the Central Committee. Every member, every delegate to our party could have chosen the 35 people that they elected to the Central Committee as full members, and then they could have chosen the 5 candidate members also. And so this is, we believe that this is political democracy that we have now in the commended Constitution, and was there before, is something that we embrace fully. Cultural diversity, racial equality, and a mixed economy. We have all of that. We're promoting that as part of the Constitution of the People's Progressive Party. Such a state with a multi-ethnic and multi-class plural government will fight to prevent foreign domination of any kind and to preserve the full democratic rights of the people. That has, in the preamble to our Constitution, replaced paragraph 2, and we've removed Marxism, Leninism from there. And then in paragraph 5 of the same preamble, this is how it will read now, where we've removed, again, this question of socialism and Marxism, Leninism. The People's Progressive Party is guided by the ideology of the working class. The party will ensure that the primary objective of its policies and programs is to improve the lives of working people, the poor and the dispossessed. This shall be achieved through a pro-poor approach to economic growth and development. Further, the party will be organized on the basis of democratic centralism, which is in line with the democratic principle of majority rule. So we've defined what we mean by democratic centralism. It's not something to hold people in bondage. It is what we have defined it as majority rule. Of course, there's several other recommendations where in our Constitution it said that we had to teach every one of our members the principles of Marxism, Leninism. We've replaced that with our party's founding principles, political philosophy, core values, history, struggles, and achievements. We want our members to know about that. So we replace teaching our members Marxism, Leninism, which is an alien concept now. In practice, it's theoretical, all theoretical, with a very practical thing about what we want our members to know so that they can better defend our party. These, as I said before, these are fundamental changes to their party. We had long moved away in practice from the Marxism, Leninism, and the socialism of a different era. Now our Constitution has been brought in line with the practice of the government, where we now work on a government that embraces ideological plurality, racial unity, embraces religious harmony, and religious plurality in the party. All of these things are part now of our Constitution. And so these were very fundamental changes. We had a great, over an hour of debate on it, and rightfully so, because it's a fundamental change. And I'm very proud that our party members have addressed this issue, which came up at several congresses in the past, but was never really put to the floor in the form of specific recommendations. Now it has been done, or it's been bounced back to the Central Committee. Now, I want to say that we are extremely grateful to the thousands of people who made this work. We raised a good deal of money for this Congress, but most of it came from the efforts of our party groups around the country. They had fundraisers, they did an enormous job. They were all engaged in raising funds for the party. The Congress was a huge undertaking. It was a costly undertaking. And without the work of the over 700 volunteers at a minimum, leaving out those who work in the regions, etc., for logistics, transport, security, food, thousands of meals per day, making sure the delegates are fed in an hour. 3,500 people are fed, the delegates, observers, and others. And they're fed in an hour to get back to the working sessions. The people who man the coffee the stands and the snack stands, and the people who are clearing the bins all the time and moving trash out and moving people from the venues, or ensuring that the venues where we use some schools and other places where we had to put in facilities for people. They made this Congress the success of what it was. And I want to publicly acknowledge their efforts and say thank you to them. I want to thank all the members of the outgoing Central Committee of the party who have, throughout the period in opposition, or from 2016 to now, they have given faithful service to the party. And they didn't change this back here. I thought they'd take this out. Oh, this is it here, yeah. And this is what Kwame brought back? Oh, okay. And I didn't want to, I only wanted to give you the numbers of the vote who got into the Central Committee and the number of votes they got in order. I did not want to share the other people who did not get in. I don't want their names everywhere. So only the 35 and the persons. So I want to thank those who are outgoing and members. They played a great role in the party. Now the party, as I said before, the Congress will choose 35 members to go to the Central Committee of the party. These are voting members. And then another 5 non-voting members. They're candidate members. They can attend, but they can't vote. The 35 members will then get together and elect an executive committee made up of 15 members that will meet between Central Committee meetings. So when we meet, most likely later this week, their 40 members will get together, but only 35 can vote. And they will then elect an executive committee of the party. The Central Committee will then also elect the General Secretary of the party and other officers, the Executive Secretary of the party, International Secretary of the party, the Finance Secretary of the party, etc. So when that meeting is held later this week, then all the General Secretary and all of the others will be elected at that meeting. So this will happen. We anticipate this week. We're hoping we'll have the meeting this week. Can you just tear it out here, and then I'll give it to them and they'll take a copy of it. I'm going to share with you the number of votes that each person who got in to the Central Committee received from the Congress. The first 35, Irfan Ali got the most votes, and followed by Jagdeo. Then the Executive Secretary of the party, Zulfikar Mustafa. Then Vikram Bharat, Gail Teixeira, Nigel Darmlal, Colin Crowell, Kwame McCoy, in that order. Anil Nandalal, Pauline Sukai, Sham Nokta, Ricky Ramraj, Jennifer Westford, Neil Kumar, Anand Prasad, Frank Anthony, Sarah Brown, Zamal Hussain, Faisal Jafar Ali, Brian Alicock, Vindya Prasad, Charles Ramson, Carl Singh, Paul Chung, Claire Singh, Donald Ramatar, Umesh Odit, Brentnall Ashley, Dharam Kumar Siraj, Barry Ramsaran, Sheikh Mohammed Inshan Ayub, Vikash Ramkisoon, Sez Conraj, Clement Rohi, Indrani Chandapal. That's in the Central Committee. Well, where are the candidates? who got in now. So these are the 35 that got their most votes in that order. There are 35 for the full Central Committee. I don't know. Yes. The 5 persons who are candidate members in that order, in this order, Indar Deodat, Minister Indar Deodat, May Thomas, Jason Abdullah, Andrew Forsyth, and Ryan Peters. These are there are 5 candidate members who will be sitting at the Central Committee of the party, but don't have the right to vote at these elections. So that's the list of people that will comprise the new Central Committee of the People's Progressive Party. So here, oh, you got it now, right? So these are the 2 lists that you have with the number of votes, how many each person got here. And this would be, the press can take this. Overall, our Congress, as I said before, is a resounding success. I've seen some people griping all the time, but I think it was the shock value of what they saw here. The ethnic diversity. When you go under the tent and you look at the volunteers and the people, we didn't pay those people, the volunteers, people of every race coming from Linden and from different parts of the country, every part, especially down the East Coast, Georgetown, and the villages along the East Coast. The cultural show, our own comrades from parts of the country performing from Linden and everywhere else, the camaraderie, the spirit of what took place here. When you look at that, it's unbelievable. And I think it shook up the PNC. That's why the gripers went into a hyper mode. They see the writing on the wall. So as usual, they try to basically run down people by calling them names, or the people are paid to come here, etc. You look at the spirit. Look at people hanging on late in the night and the conversations they have. They wouldn't understand it. People like those who are racist and who only can see differences, they won't understand the spirit of what we had here. And therefore, they wouldn't understand the greatness of this party. So I'm not going to respond too much to them. Thank you very much. Is there any question? Yes, you can give them.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. It's not just international that we are looking on. What we were saying, that if you look at our membership of the party cannot, or the party's ideology and its belief cannot be divorced from the reality of the country, the reality of the world, and the reality of our own membership. Now, the world has moved on from the Cold War era, from the era of isms. So in that sense, we are bringing our constitution more in line with the prevailing ideology in the world, where you do have parties and countries that practice or working class ideologies or philosophies or are guided by those without having to mention an ism behind them. They're characterized by a set of policies that are pro-poor and pro-working class, but at the same time don't contradict the creation of wealth by the private sector. And that is really the reality of Guyana today. If you talk to our membership, many who came in there never They don't even know about Marxism-Leninism, members of the party. Many people, young people you talk to today, they don't know about that. And then the constitution of the party said we had to teach them about Marxism-Leninism instead of teaching them about our own history, our own struggles, our own achievements, so that they can propagate the party. So what we have done, yes, the removal of this would allow us to focus on what is real, so that we're not distracted by that debate, which our critics and naysayers often say, oh, this is a fossilized party. It professes to an ideology that no longer has national or global significance or relevance. And so the answer is yes, but it's no more of a nuance yes. It helps us to bring our party more into reality, or closer to the belief of our membership, our country, what we are practicing, and the global reality. Because when we look at the features of democratic centralism, what does it mean, basically? It says people will have robust debate if there is an issue. However, at the end of the day, when a decision is made, everyone has to comply with that decision. So we don't find it very different, although it's called democratic centralism, than what democracy in the boardroom or in the management of any organization is. I gave the example at the Congress. If sit on a board of directors for a company, you're members of the board, and you have diverse views as to how a company can progress, you have to allow a sharing of this view. If you stop the sharing of the view or the debate, that means you're undemocratic. But if the party respects true criticism and self-criticism and full democracy, the sharing and the debate of the views, but at the end, when a decision is made by the majority now, not by a single individual, not one individual would say this. So it put to a vote at the board of directors level, and everyone says, this is what we're going to do at this company level. Then everyone else has to comply. And that is what it means, and at the party level too. I don't know where people get this notion that it would affect voting, or people don't have debate or it will impose on them a view that they don't get to participate in making. They participate in making the decision, but then they have to stick with the decision. There is no dissent from it. Because if you have one member of the board now saying, I don't agree with what you decided at the board of directors of the company, so I'm going to go out and do something else to run down the company. You never have a proper company. I'm just giving that as an example. It's a normal democratic principle, and that's why we define in the Constitution here. We define what we mean by democratic centralism here. It says, which is in line with the democratic principle of majority rule. What else do you want than majority rule? If we said minority rule, that would be a problem. What we want, majority rule. So we don't see it as alien.
My final question is kind of two-part. What is your response to the following, right? There have been criticism surrounding the venue chosen for the conference and the party flag being thrown there, as well as reports circulating about Indian delegates being housed in uncomfortable conditions. What is your response to this?
Well, I think you and I saw the same post from some of these sour people talking about that. You have some really sour people who have no integrity, and they would try to run down everything that we do in the PPP. you talk to the Amerindians. You look at the quality of the service here to our delegates. You just walk through the tent, the food area where people are, the coffee stands, the snack area. You look at this. Now we had over 2,000 people to house. We can't rent hotels. You may not even have 2,000 hotel rooms to rent them. And therefore, we put in facilities for people, toilet facilities, showering facilities at their location. We got them beds, we got mattresses, etc. So people are appreciative of that. They didn't complain about it. Somebody took a picture and said, look what you're putting the people. They were happy. You go and let them ask those people. They'll get a cussing about them from those very same people. So I can't waste time behind people who are naysayers about everything. They can't organize anything. They would extort people. We don't extort people for money. We raise our money by the ordinary means, by going to people, etc. So that's the first issue. So I think it was well organized, transport, everything, beautifully decorated. Our cultural show was at a world-class standard. It showed diversity. People are happy. Last night they were eating. They didn't even want to leave the site. I felt the spirit of it. I'm proud of it. The next thing about Norton, the PNC had to say something about our Congress. So now this one about the party flag flying here. It was the National Convention Center built by the People's Progressive Party in a time when I was president. They changed the name. They changed the name to Otachong Convention Center. That's what they did here. Like they did lots of name changes, put names on buses and stuff like that. But that's all they did. So this was built, first of all, under the tenure of the PPP. It's a convention center. It is a convention center. We rented the convention center. You know what convention centers are rented for? They're rented for people to hold activities, weddings. How many weddings we've had here? So next thing they're going to say, don't let the pastor come in here. You're desecrating this building. It's only because we're a secular state. And the pastor can't perform a ceremony in the foyer of this building because this is a secular building now. Pure nonsense. Utter nonsense. So we rented this building and we decorated it with our beautiful party flags that have a meaning. We're putting up German flags. Our party flags had a meaning. You know, the black signify our basically our strength and the fight for freedom, and the red spoke about our struggles, and the goal was for the future, the bright future. That was from the beginning. We set it up. Now suddenly it become German flags. They have nothing of substance to speak of. And so this, because Parliament is held here now. Parliament is Parliament is held in the building. The building doesn't become Parliament building. It's held here on certain days, etc. So they say that. So we must stop using the dome for everything else because Parliament meets in the dome once every maybe 2 months or 3 months. So we must stop using that dome because Parliament is held here. And it started with COVID. It is pure pettiness for a major political party to reduce itself to this sort of pettiness. It's shocking. Shocking. They couldn't find anything of substance to talk about. And this petty thing about, a big long statement. They're flying the flag at a government building. It's a convention center. That's what it's built for. To hold conventions and to hold all sorts of things, to rent it out. The government rents it out all the time to different people. Yes. You're welcome.
Just a quick question for David Shani from the newsroom. You've made it very clear that you want more Afro guidance to embrace the party. Was that discussed
discussed, we talk about our diversity, we spoke about this. The spirit was a great one. You had to participate to feel it. And and people leaving strong, with a strong resolve to go and work in their communities. We spoke about what makes us different than the APNU. How are we trustworthy? Why do our words or our promises, by the fulfillment of our promises that we have a track record of, that we've carved a place in this country as a trustworthy party? If we say something, we'll do it. We've carved ourselves in the place of the history of our country as a party that fights to bring people together. We've pointed out that we have to fight against everyone who chooses to keep our people divided, and only a few can benefit. So a lot of discussions went into our diversity and promoting that diversity.
Before I begin off with Afghanistan, I
Yes.
just want to ask a question. I'll have to follow up on this discussion. I know it would have been in workshops.
Yes.
Did that see participation from older folk in the PPP
Older folks, yeah.
who are new to the diversity in the
So we made this clear right at the beginning when I spoke at the opening and when I go around the country too. Somehow, in a party, understandably so. Even before we talk about Afro-Guyanese, there was a time when some of the older comrades in the groups around the country, they will not seek new membership because they thought that people will come in and dilute their presence in the party. They will maybe contest for the executive and the chairmanship of the party, etc. So they were not encouraging young people to come into the party. And we had to work with those comrades to say that by bringing in new people into the party, young comrades, these are even in our strongholds, that you're not diluting the party, you're strengthening the party, because your role as an elder in the village level is to help to prepare the next generation. So it wasn't an ethnic thing, it was almost a young-old thing, and people felt bad about losing their space, etc., because a lot of them had been in the struggle for a long time, and they felt that young people coming in did not have the same sort of commitment. But we have overcome that. We have had a large number of young people come to us. So too, in smaller cases, we have had some people complain about, well, all these new people. It's not necessarily race. New people we see coming in now, and, they may displace us. And we have pointed out that from the Chedi Jagan days, we fought for this national unity. And now, I pointed out our success in bringing in people of diverse religion and gender and race makes us invincible, stronger. And because they believe in the party and they want the party to succeed, their fear was that maybe we dilute and we somehow suffer because of this dilution. But because they're strong party members, they've seen that. They've seen that by growing out, working in every community, by ensuring this party looks like Guyana, people of every race, every religion being there, every class. When we talk about this, is overwhelming, resounding support for it, the cheers, etc., from the floor. And so that's the prevailing mood. People may have some initial concerns about it, but I think it's not purely along race lines. It's more along about, I've been there a little bit long and this man might come and displace me a bit. And and you can understand that sort of feeling. But we will make sure that that doesn't stop the tide of people who want to join us. When I remember became General Secretary, and in opposition, we said that one of the key tasks was not just to win the election, was to change the face of the PPP too, to make sure that we look like Guyana, because historically we'd suffer from all of these lies, and we've done it. We're not in there as yet, but I mean we've had enough success at doing this.
You spoke about the party's push towards government to ensure free and fair election and confidence building this year.
Yes.
But these are already positions that we know the government had already. But was there anything that the party resolved to push the government for that's not an already established position of the government?
Oh, okay. But sometimes it helps when your party says to you, you're on the right course. It's validation. So the government got a lot of validation. There were, in the workshop, there were lots of suggestions. So I don't want to say it's adopted in full by the Congress, because we have to document people's suggestions. So if McCoy wants to build, like, clean every drain along the road, the public road here, he would say, I want the drain clean because it would help the party a lot. But 10 other people may say, don't clean that drain. You clean, just the drain in front of me. So lots of different suggestions came up at the Congress thing. We'd pay attention at the discussions. We'd pay attention to all of those. But I wouldn't say there was a clear, unified thing which says, this is it. Because we're working on the things that matter most to people. Jobs, greater security in their home, making sure that the oil and gas industry is managed properly and that we have equitable distribution of resources. We said that before that even came from the floor. Education, healthcare, looking out for children or elderly. These are all things that are part of the government's program, but also part of parties' program from the past. So it wasn't like we had a big thing, a difference. So people may say, oh, I have a road here to be done and stuff. But this afternoon, we're meeting with people outside of the Congress, more as government now, to look at their other concerns. But so the Congress is over, and we're meeting them as government to look at the government-type solutions or suggestions that they have to, that are purely governmental.
Let's say government and party remains in full harmony on policies. And
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes, that's correct.
I heard when you called this in order, Nigel Donald was quite
Yes.
popular. So he remains beloved in the party. Does this speak anything significantly for his future as a part of government?
This is party.
Mm-hmm.
This is party. Here is all that happened is that the names were put to the delegates, people voted. It was an open, transparent process, and it's a democratic process. And therefore, the names that you see there were chosen by the delegates. We made this clear. We can choose. The delegates would choose the names, and therefore, each of those members would be a valuable member of the Central Committee of the party, because they were chosen by the delegates of our party. Though every one of the 35 were chosen, they wanted these people to be in the leadership of the party. And so that is it. They wanted the 35 to be in the leadership of the party, and they chose which 35 they wanted.
Okay, final question for you. With the removal of all the isms and everything else from the Constitution, I noted you said that the Constitution mandates the party to teach the new members about these isms. That's the way it is. Yesterday, when Irfan was president,
Yeah.
he spoke about your leadership and the importance of your leadership to bring the party from where it was to
Mhm.
Is there any resolve in the Constitution now to ensure that certain leadership practices or teachings are passed on so that you can secure leaders and we won't have any deficit of proper leadership in the future?
Yeah. So we believe in the party. We had a workshop on gender and young people. When I look at the Congress, I saw a ton of young people. I went to one of the workshops and it was unbelievable. And they're not passive members. They are like really very vocal on issues, etc. And you know what? They come from every one of the regions. And so I'm happy with the material we're generating there. And so now we need to equip them more with the tools. And that's why we said these party members, I think we need to equip them more with training on social media, on artificial intelligence, on all of the things that matter most to their development and for the propagation of the party. We've also offered everybody a chance to improve themselves in Guyana. If about 50,000 people through 4 programs, Goal, Grow, Win, and BIT, have been trained or are training since we got back into office. And so we want these members to also do that. But apart from that, we're going to, one issue came up is the party school and the leadership training. And so we had Acrobe in the past. It was a bit more ideological. So now we can strip it of the ideology, focus on the party, the things I mentioned, our core philosophy, our history, but also focus on leadership training for these people, because we want the next generation of leaders to take over, basically, or lead the party in the future. But we're also doing this at government level. We're exposing a whole range of young people to positions of power where you can only develop experience if you're given responsibility and you're trusted to discharge those responsibilities. APNU suffered enormously in power because they kept all the geriatrics in every position and did not give young people a chance. And not that they did not have young people. Yes, let them start the meeting, yes. Yeah, let Irfan start it, yeah. So I'll come later. Tell him I'll come later. So this is it. They did not. They suffer for it. That's why I point out. Mahi Paul in Parliament, you think he has any experience to run anything? He was a junior man in some ministry knocking around. Sherwin Holder, their chairman, I don't know, he was working for a private firm. He got fired from the firm. Amanza was a junior person there. Royce Ford never worked in government. He was a lawyer, lose a lot of cases, and at the commission. Norton was even a junior functionary. He was some empowerment officer in the office of the president. Where is the experience to run a country? That's why when they're what's the other one? The one who goes to the press conference, Lowe. He was a junior man in SARA. He was working as an analyst in SARA. If they go to tackle oil and gas issue, you think they can sit with Exxon and speak the way we speak with Exxon? You don't see those meetings. They all, or you can even definitively answer a question on any policy issue. Because we've exposed people. You have youngsters too got in the leadership of the party. Deodat Indar got in their party. Charles Ramson got in. Sarah Brown got in. Patrick Ashley, the regional chairman from Region 1, got in. You have Says Gunraj got into the leadership of the party. New members now coming in who contested, from 90-something members who contested and got in with 2,000 odd delegates voting and got in an open way. As I said before, Jason Abdullah, Ryan Peters, May Thomas, and there's one other, Forsyth. Well, Forsyth is not so young. Forsyth been with the party, but he's from Region 10. But he got in. These are, yes, Carl Singh from Region 9 got in. A number of people, new faces, got into the Central Committee too. We replenish ourselves all the time. And the delegates wanted this. They voted. So, this is something we're extremely proud. So, and I see that as my role too. You ask me, my role is to prepare more leaders in the party and also to make sure that people get exposed at the government level so that long into the future, we, the young people of this party, will continue to lead. Started, as I said before, our party doesn't need to prove itself on young people. I was 20-something when I became a minister. 35 president. Irfan Ali, 20-something minister. He became president at 40. The young people are all the time in the highest positions in the country. That's how we trusted young people. So this is very important for us. And you heard what I said. I don't think I mentioned it enough in my second speech about women in leadership. Or the women of this party, they do the yeoman's work. Or I should say yeoman's work, I should say. But they do a lot of work on the ground. They come to the rallies, etc. But we need to get more and more of them into the leadership of the party. And that's important for us too. And it's a task that we set ourselves for the next, by the time we get to the Congress, that the PYO must become a 5,000 strong organization, and the WPO too, the women's arm and the youth arm of the party. Is that it? Thank you very much.